Hello, and welcome to Stately Vaughan Manor. Today, we're going to talk about Gardens of the Moon by Steven Erikson. This is a book a lot of people are talking about right now. Mike at Mike's Book Reviews, he's that other Mike. Mike at Mike's Book Reviews is doing a read-along and has been doing a read-along on the Malazan Book of the Fallen, and this is the first book in that series. And yeah, literally everybody is reading this book and giving their opinion on it, and so I thought I would as well. So I picked up this book, and I was a little worried at first. Everything I had heard about this book is that it's confusing, you go into it, you don't know what's going on, it's easy to get lost, a zillion characters. So I had some trepidation. But so I started the book, I read the book, and the first thing I noticed was that it's confusing, you don't know what's going on, there are a zillion characters, you're stuck in the middle of this crazy situation. It almost feels like you're missing a book one and that this is a book two. That's almost what it feels like when you first started. But never fear, it doesn't take long for you to figure out what's going on. And this book is great. I'm just going to tell you that right up. I loved this book. It's fantastic. What we have here is a fully realized, complex fantasy world. Really impressed. There are a ton of great characters in this book. You've got Tattersail, the fantastic sorceress who's super powerful. You've got the disillusioned hero. You've got Whiskey Jack and his plucky band of soldiers, the bridge burners, and you've got Anamander Rake. I should mention, in chapter 2 of this book, I mean, this thing just starts off strong. In chapter 2 of this book, you've got this huge battle scene, gigantic. And you've got like a whole bunch of wizards and mages, and there's a huge mountain in the sky flying around up there, and up there is Anamander Rake, and he's a 7-foot tall guy with jet black skin and white hair and a big magic sword. And so they're throwing magic at each other. It's a pretty wild scene, and it's not the kind of thing you expect in a chapter 2. It was pretty epic. So it starts off strong. And Anamander Rake, interesting character, because when you first see him, which is in that scene where he's up on the mountain that's floating in the sky shooting magic at people, it seems really like this is going to be the Dark Lord. This is going to be the Skeletor of this universe. And it turns out, by the end of the book, you're thinking to yourself, is this guy the most decent person in this story? Is he the good guy? Or he's the bad guy? It's, of course, nothing is that simple in this story, and that's the thing. All these characters are like that. You never really know all about them. You think you know them, and then you find out you don't. It's really interesting. Really complex characters. An interesting plot, which I really don't want to go into because I don't want to give any spoilers away. You really want to go into this book not knowing anything and just let Erikson sort of show you the story gradually. But man, it's great. Tons of supernatural beings, giant dogs, a talking crow, dragons. There are dragons in this book. Just great stuff in this book. And that's just a little bit. I'm just telling you a wee little bit about it. But I had heard also that this is the weakest book in the series, and if that's true, man, we're in for a ride. This is going to be great. I'm really looking forward to the rest of this series. I think it's a book. It's a series of 10 or 11 giant books. Each book, this book is the least giant, but each book gets progressively more giant. Yeah, so it was great. Highest recommendation, Gardens of the Moon. Everybody's done the review, and they've been pretty much universally positive, and I'm right up there with them. I loved it. So that's what I've been reading. And I'm going to get to the second one, Dead House Gates. I don't know where I put my copy of Dead House Gates. I don't know where it is. Hopefully the Phantom didn't get a hold of it. That would be terrible. So yeah, I'm going to get to the second book in the series right after I finish Murderbot. I like Murderbot a lot. And I should be getting to the Dead House Gates pretty soon because Murderbot is tiny. It's about 3 pages long, but it's good too. So, also want to talk to you a little bit about some future videos that I've got coming up. I'm going to be trying to catch up on modern fantasy. I'm pretty up on the old stuff, as you might have noticed. But there are a few modern fantasy series that I want to get to. And not just this great one, the Malazan Book of the Fallen, which is going to take me a couple years. Because I'm going to read one of these guys about every other month, I'm thinking. But there are a couple other series that I should have read that I'm going to catch up on. This is, and I'm embarrassed to say this. This is shameful, but I'm going to admit to it here to you. There's just a few of you, so just between us. I've never read Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time. I know, it's bad, but I've never read it, and so this is one thing I'm also going to do this year. Yeah, I'm going to do Malazan Book of the Fallen and this both in the same year. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'll probably only get to 3 books this year and do more next year. But I really want to get started on it because apparently I don't know modern fantasy if I haven't read this book. I just don't know. So yeah, really looking forward to this. I've heard a lot about this series. Heard it starts off strong. Heard it gets a little slow. Heard it gets a lot better after that. I'm really looking forward to it. I also know that Robert Jordan, unfortunately, sadly, did not live to see the end of the series, that it was finished by Brandon Sanderson. Yeah, Brandon Sanderson finished the series, and I hear he did a great job. So yeah, this might take me a couple years to do this series as well. But as soon as I finish this book, I'll talk about it. So we'll do it together. So what else do I have on the horizon? I also really want to get to this book, and I'll probably get to this at the top of April, and that is The Forgetting Moon, another epic fantasy. It is by Lee Durfee, who has a fantastic YouTube channel of his own, actually. He does a ton of great book reviews, just a ton of great books. He has pretty much the same taste in books that I do, so it's fun to watch his reviews. Highly recommend his reviews, so I can't wait to read his book. I have heard nothing but good things about this book. Only good things. I'm intrigued. I don't know what The Forgetting Moon means. That seems an odd choice for a title. But I trust this guy. I trust what I've heard from people. Like I said, even there have been a couple bad reviews I've seen, but even those make it sound good. So, hey, it's got to be great, right? So I'm going to do this at the top of April. Also, another shameful thing I have to admit to, I have never read Brandon Sanderson at all. Hang my head in shame. But I'm gonna, make up for that. So I'm gonna be doing Mistborn as well. Another epic fantasy series I'm gonna start this year. I don't know how much of it I'm going to get to. Definitely gonna read the whole thing, of course. But definitely gonna do this book sometime in the first half of the year. I don't know. We'll see how much we get to. But I'm really looking forward to that as well. I have only heard good things. We've got, for my future videos, the next video is going to be about Edgar Rice Burroughs' John Carter of Mars series. I've really wanted to do that video, and so I'm going to go ahead and do it. What the heck? And after that, the video following that is going to be about a science fiction series I discovered fairly recently. That would be Christopher Rocchio's Empire of Silence. This is the book 1 in the Sun Eater series. I've actually read the first 2 books in this series. I might do them both in the same video. I've got Empire of Silence, Howling Dark. There is a 3rd book in this series, but I haven't read it yet. This is an interesting series. Christopher Rocchio, another author that has a YouTube channel, and I've seen a bit of it, and he seems like a very hardworking young man. I think this was published when he was 25, or at least he finished writing it when he was 25, which is pretty impressive, especially when you consider the quality of the writing, which is pretty good. But I have thoughts about this book. I have thoughts. So, yeah, I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about this book. I'm going to talk about the Sun Eater series. After that, I've got a review, not a review, but a video about Stephen King. I've had a couple of people ask me my thoughts on Stephen King. So what the heck, I'll do a video. I've got complex feelings about Stephen King. I have thoughts on him too. I have lots to say. So that's going to be a video coming up. But once again, I highly recommend Gardens of the Moon. I think it's fantastic. I can't wait to read the rest of these. So, thank you for coming by once again to Stately Vaughan Manor.